जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। So we are continuing with Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 3 verse number 74 onwards. Nityananda Goshani Sakshat Haladhara Advaita Acharya Goswami Sakshat Ishvara. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Nityananda Goshani is directly Haladhar or Lord Balaram, and Advaita Acharya is the personality of Godhead himself. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So it's nice to be back. Welcome to Annapurna Mataji. Welcome to you also. Seeing you all after a long time. So in this verse, today's verse number 74, we can see that there is mention of Lord Nityananda as Lord Balram himself. We've heard before, we have learned this before, but when we are preaching, it's good to give these references so that people can understand that we are not talking from the top of our head, but we are giving references from the scriptures. So he says Lord Nityananda is Lord Balram himself, and Advaita Acharya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Srila Prabhupada has explained that Lord Nityananda is the original spiritual master, which means Lord Balram also is the original spiritual master. Lord Balram is so merciful that he manifests himself in this material world when Krishna came 5,000 years ago as his shoes, as his garland, as his ornaments, as mridanga, as the floor of the temple, as the holy dham, the abode which is there like Vrindavan. So he manifests all this, and this is all because he takes that humble position to serve Krishna. This is what we learn from him. And he comes in when he comes, he is in different rasas. He manifests different rasas like Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Now, when it is, how does he manifest in Shantaras? By being the abode, so when we are on the Vraja Bhumi, like in Vrindavan, we are on the holy dham, that is Lord Balram, and he's doing that in Shantaras just to serve Krishna, and we get benefit in the process. Do you remember that pastime where Krishna eats mud, right? And then Balram complains to Mother Yashoda that he has eaten mud. The real reason is Krishna, knowing that Balram is that dust on that Rajadham, he wants to taste that. And that's why he puts in his mouth. So much connection between the two. In Dasya Ras, we see him massaging Krishna's lotus feet. When Krishna is tired, he's taking rest, then Lord Balram will massage, even though he's elder brother. Right? In India, there is a custom. Those who are elder to you, you can't let them touch your feet, or even pick their shoes or something like that, right? We, out of respect. But sometimes you see the other way around. I remember I was young and my father was getting ready to go to work, and he was getting late. So I picked his shoes and brought, he got really mad. He said, how did you touch my shoes? Yes, you've given me sins, by you touching my shoes. The other way around. It's okay for young ones to, do that for elders, but it's both ways. So here, Lord Balram is massaging, and of course, sometimes Krishna also massages Lord Balram's feet. But this is that Dasya Bhav he has. What about Sakhya Bhav? Playing together and taking part in pastimes, killing demons, all friends together, cowherd boys. That is Sakhya Ras. Then one may say, what about Vatsalya Ras? That, parental affection. Balram does that too. When Krishna ate the mud, Balram was afraid that, how mud is not a food, it's not something that you eat, right? So he was concerned as an elder brother with that Vatsalya Bhav that, something wrong may happen to Krishna. So he went and complained to Mother Yashoda. So that Mother Yashoda will try and remove the dirt from his mouth. That is Vatsalya Bhav. Of course, many other places also he takes care of Krishna like his, small child or whatever. Then one may say, what about Madhurya Ras? So it is said that Lord Balram, he also manifested as Ananga Manjari, younger sister of Srimati Radharani for those pastimes. So you see, Lord Balram or Lord Nityananda, they are both the same, but they are the original spiritual master from whom we can learn, to whom we can pray. Just like Prabhupada says, there's no way we can go back to Godhead on our own. We need to go through our spiritual master. So if we can pray to Lord Nityananda to help us, then he can guide us back to Godhead. The next verse, 75. Shrivasadi Parishad Senya Sangelana Dui Senapati Bule Kirtana Kariya. Translation. These two captains with their soldiers such as Srivas Thakur travel everywhere chanting the holy name of the Lord. Who are these two captains? Yes, Lord Nityananda and Sri Advaita Acharya, two captains. We all know captain is a very important post. Captain is very essential. Just like we are on a boat or a ship, captain is necessary. Yes, the steering wheel is there, but there has to be someone to control that, to take it to the destination. So also in spiritual life, captain is very, very important. What is the purpose of the captain? To help us cross over this material ocean. We are talking in spiritual captains, the spiritual master. They are there to guide us, to help us how we can cross this ocean of material world. And what are these two captains doing? They are going everywhere to distribute the holy name, chanting of the holy name. So all the Supreme Lord and his associates, they are like his soldiers, and they are helping everyone become Krishna conscious. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly states that one who spreads my glories is most dear to me. There's nothing above most. He's most dear to me. And with the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna, we can cross this ocean. So all we need is a captain, a bona fide captain. Not someone, we think that, oh, this one might be, or, someone passing by. Especially in India, it's very common to take anyone as guru, anyone who can, do something great, or, something miracle, or, okay, this is my guru. Or most relevant, most common in India is a family guru. Okay, my family worships this, so I also am going to worship that same guru. But here it has to be bona fide spiritual master, bona fide captain. So he's saying, my captains such as Srivas Thakur. And we know that Srivas Angan in Mayapur is very famous for what? for Sankirtan, for chanting and dancing. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Shiva's Angan, and for hours and hours, all of them would just chant and dance and be in ecstasy. So here Srivas Thakur, this is how he was spreading the holy name everywhere. So from this we can learn that we also need to make that effort to spread the holy name to whomsoever we meet. Just maybe a little bit talk about Krishna consciousness, so that we can help them start their spiritual journey, at least start. You know, when the old cars, you know, that don't work, what do? You push, right? So when you give a little push, and the driver, when he presses on the accelerator, then zoom, the car will start going, even though it's old. So just like this old body, if there is a push, but that doesn't mean it has to be all bodies. We shouldn't say, okay, let me look for old people and then give them a push. No, it is, we spread this to everyone that we meet. So here the stress is given on chanting the holy name of the Lord. They travel everywhere and they give out the holy name. Verse number 76. Pashanda Dalanavana Nityananda Rai Acharya Hunkare Papa Pashandi Palaye. Translation. Lord Nityananda's very features indicate that he is the subduer of the unbelievers. All sins and unbelievers flee from the loud shouts of Advaita Acharya. Another example, what we can do. That doesn't mean we go out and start shouting, you know. They may call the cops and put us behind bars. But the idea is they are enthusiastically giving out the holy name, they're chanting. And Lord Nityananda's features. So this is this description of Lord Nityananda's features. So beautiful, so merciful, so compassionate. Right? He is waiting, you know, it's like waiting with you know, ocean of mercy to give to us. And what do? I am not ready right now. I have so many responsibilities. I have so much, I don't have time. Yes, if there were 28 hours in a day, then probably I could find some time. So here, he is the subduer of unbelievers. So anyone who comes in contact with Lord Nityananda, there is no way they cannot become a devotee. They will become a devotee. So we do meet such type of people, you know, who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, right? They argue with us, they get upset with us, they blaspheme us, they insult us. Can we subdue them? No, we cannot. What can we do? Just pray to Lord Nityananda that please, somehow or the other, give your mercy to these conditioned souls. Because mercy is essential for everybody. We haven't reached that stage where we are a Paramahamsa, we are, you know, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, there is no Sochati Kankshati, no lamentation. No, we haven't reached that stage. So we need that mercy, and that mercy can be received from the Supreme Lord when we give this knowledge to others, when we preach to others, when we make that effort to preach to others. And Krishna within the heart is waiting for us to have that desire. If we have the desire to do book distribution, Krishna helps. I remember a few years ago when it was Gita Jayanti Day, and my husband was not feeling well, so he couldn't go out to distribute books, which he normally did almost every day. And then he was feeling, oh, you know, I wish today I could distribute some books. And within few minutes, 3-4 people came to the door. They just came to the door. Some came to say, oh, I like your grass. Okay, you like, here's Bhagavad Gita. Oh, do you want your windows to be clean? Oh, yeah. Yeah, here's another Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna sent people to the house to get Bhagavad Gita. It's all depending on our desire, how sincere the desire is. In today's quote that, we get a quote from our spiritual master every day. Did you read today?
Yes.
What
Your
was,
spiritual master.
yes, what was there? Does anyone remember?
It was about devotional service. That much I didn't know.
No.
There was a question asked, and he was responding to that question.
Hmm.
Yes, see, that is Kali Yuga memory. I knew I would forget, so I revised and came.
So tell us, Masa.
So he said that we have a PhD in fault finding. We have a PhD degree in fault finding. We are experts in finding faults in others.
And we become so happy when we find fault.
Yes, we are like,
think, oh,
we have achieved something great.
I read the wrong one.
Then maybe it is the one before that. I don't remember, but it was just today. I read it today. PhD in fault finding. I was like, that is so true. Right? If supposing, we have to say, oh, do you remember that person we want to, talk about someone, that person, to remind, okay, do you remember that person? What do we look for? Do you remember that person who's very fat, that person who is, a crooked teeth? We find faults and we try to identify and make the other person remember who is that person I'm talking about. Do we ever say, oh, do you remember that person who sings so beautifully?
Yes.
Does such nice kirtan?
Yes.
That is how it should be. Right? So here, that mercy is there. All we have to do, have that intense desire to get it. And when we are talking so much about preaching, what is the purpose of preaching? What is the purpose of giving holy name to others? What is the purpose of giving lectures or classes? What do you think is the purpose? To get famous?
No.
To get followers?
No.
To get many likes?
No.
Krishna has to.
Yes, but to give this knowledge to others. Right? That is important. So this is what pleases Guru and Krishna. And in this verse, it says, all sins and unbelievers, they flee. So if we chant the holy names and remember Lord Nityananda and follow his instructions, the sins will fly away. They will run away. And even the unbelievers is talking about. Holy name is so powerful. And as we have already heard, Advaita Acharya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And he is shouting out the holy name. He's loudly chanting the holy name. I was thinking of one pastime of Srila Prabhupada about this chanting. We have heard that whenever Srila Prabhupada would go for a walk, he would chant.
Mm-hmm.
And he would chant loudly. And he would say that I'm chanting loudly so that every living entity gets the benefit of the holy name. Whether it is the grass or the trees or plants or birds or whoever it may be, they all get the benefit. I believe it was Bhaktivedanta Manor in England. One day, Srila Prabhupada, as he was leaving to go to another city or country, he noticed that there was a plant that was, what do you call, stooping down or what? Huh? Grouping? Drooping down. Yes, right? It was like going down. So Srila Prabhupada stopped there and he loudly chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And the plant went up. This is the power, yes. This is the power of a pure devotee, power of the holy name. Yes. So here we see Advaita Acharya loudly, he's with loud shouts of Advaita Acharya made all the sins and unbelievers flee. Verse number 77. Sankirtana Pravartaka Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sankirtana Yagne Tanre Bhaje Se Dhanya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya is the initiator of Sankirtana or congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. One who worships him through Sankirtana is fortunate indeed. Excuse me. No, that's okay. So this is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. He came just to give us the holy name. Frog in the throat. And what is that Sankirtana? Chanting of the holy names. And what is the result of that? Love for Krishna. He came to give us love of Krishna for free. Anything that we get for free, do we have value for it? No. If we pay, oh, that becomes very dear to us because we have paid our hard-earned money. But here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he just came to give us love of God. Not only that, he showed us how to love Krishna by his personal example, came as a devotee, showed us how to be a devotee, and he started this Sankirtana movement. Sankirtana movement is congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So, Srila Prabhupada, all he did was spread Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And he also wanted us to spread. And he left behind his books. All the knowledge is there, the process is there. He gave us devotees, temples, holy dham, prasadam, deities. What more do we want? We got everything on a platter. Yes? We didn't have to struggle like Srila Prabhupada. At the age of 70, he comes to America. He doesn't know where to stay. He doesn't know anyone. And how many rupees in his pocket?
40?
40 rupees. That has no value now. It's not even what, 25 cents or what is it? Hardly.
Before it was like, what was it, $4 or something?
Yeah, but what do you do in $7? What do you do with $7? You won't even get a place to stay for a day for $7 in those days. So he has done all the groundwork for us. He has gone through all the tribulations just to give us a small package of Krishna consciousness. All we have to do is just follow it. So that is what Sri Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also did. What he did, he just gave us the process, simple process, chant and be happy. That's it. And only fortunate people get to Krishna consciousness. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavanji. Right? Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. That seed of devotion only fortunate devotees get. And we are those few fortunate who have got access to Krishna consciousness. So here it says, those who worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Sankirtana is fortunate indeed. That is what it is saying. Very fortunate. So we should not take Krishna consciousness lightly. We should not take this opportunity that we have got to progress in spiritual life. We should not take it very lightly. Because if Krishna sees that we are not serious about Krishna consciousness, then do you think he will help us in the next life? We're talking about next life. I received. I just remembered, I talked about this in Bhagavad Gita class, but I'll repeat it here. I received a video message. Message means a video recording I received from India. And in that, this Swami is sitting and he's saying that I have an inter-life trust fund. Do you understand? Inter-life trust fund. If you invest in this trust fund, we will find you in the next life and give you that money. In case you are born poor, you know, and he even mentioned like Bill Gates, in case he's born poor in next life, we will give that money. We will try to find you.
Nice insurance.
But you deposit now.
Yeah, but you have to deposit it now. And they will find you in next life. What a scam. If we do not succeed in this life, if we don't remember Krishna at the time of death, we are coming back. Can we recognize anyone from past life whom we knew in our past life now? I know, thank God. I know. And that means, thank God, we will not know them next life.
You don't, I was just reading, you don't want to remember, like, if you remember that
Mhm.
this person's pet dog was once your wife or your sister, it would be horrible for them, the dog and you.
Exactly, exactly. We don't want to know. All we want to do is, Srila Prabhupada says, finish your business and go back to Godhead. That's it. Make this life your last life. We don't want to come back. We don't want to invest in an interlife trust fund. Definitely not. Definitely. I was so amused by that video.
But at least they recognize birth and death. You know,
Yes.
particular birth and death.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people don't even believe that.
Yes, they don't believe in reincarnation. Yes.
You know, that's how they say.
They say nothing after death, no life after death.
Exactly.
That's it.
So at least they know that
There is
birth
real.
after.
Yes.
Well, some kind of way, Matai, isn't, Mother Gita, isn't, having a guru like an inter-life
That is such a nice, thought process. Yes, yes. Because he takes a vow at the time of initiation that he will take us back to Godhead. But as disciples, we should make sure we don't trouble him, that we do whatever is necessary to go back to Godhead so that he doesn't have to come back just to save us, Yes. Yes, that is true.
And, it says one who worships him through Sankirtana is fortunate.
Mhm.
Sankirtana is congregational chanting.
Yes.
So if you chant individually, that doesn't count?
It does count, yes. So Srila Prabhupada says all three count. Chanting by yourself, which is japa, chanting with the devotees, like maybe together chanting in the morning or doing Sankirtan, chanting, dancing and singing, that is also. And even book distribution is considered as Sankirtan.
Yes.
You see, that is also Sankirtana. So all three, they all give the same benefit. Yes. So we see that Srila Prabhupada, he went through so many tribulations to give us everything. So today we can sit comfortably and hear Krishna Katha. And thanks to Mr. Zoom, we can do that online too. Right? We can reach out. How many opportunities have come up with Zoom? We can hear so many lectures. We can see them, we can hear them, we can ask questions.
As a result of the pandemic.
Yes, as a result, blessing in disguise. And because of the pandemic, we have got more opportunity to be home, to spend family time, to do more reading, to do better chanting, so many facilities. So we should be highly indebted to Srila Prabhupada for giving us Krishna consciousness. And if we preach, if we give this knowledge to others, we will improve our own spiritual life. Let's go to the next verse, which is 78. Seita sumedha ara kubudhi samsara sarva yagna haite Krishna nama yagna sara. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Such a person is truly intelligent. whereas others who have but a poor fund of knowledge must endure the cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the Lord's holy name is the most sublime. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the father and inaugurator of the Sankirtana movement, one who worships him by sacrificing his life, money, intelligence, and words for the Sankirtana movement is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. All others may be said to be foolish, for of all sacrifices in which a man may apply his energy, a sacrifice made for the Sankirtana movement is the most glorious. We learn this in Bhagavad Gita also. The best type of charity, right? Charity in the mode of pure goodness. So we see that there are many important points in this verse. And first of all is, even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, intelligent people take to Krishna consciousness. Intelligent. And here it also says the others who don't, they are foolish. Why? Because intelligent understand that this human form of life is meant for self-realization. It is not for living like cats and dogs, eat, sleep, and be merry. It is much beyond that. So intelligent also understand how to break the cycle of birth and death. The whole process is given to us by Srila Prabhupada in a small capsule. All we have to do is just take it. But the thing is, we have to take it every day. Just like we eat every day, sleep every day, work every day, like that, Krishna consciousness also every day. So the recommended sacrifice we have already heard, and even it's confirming in this verses, of all the sacrificial performances, chanting is the most sublime. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Naste, Vanaste, Vanaste, Gati Anya Tha. It is most sublime, it is easy, it is free of charge, and it gives the utmost satisfaction and liberation. It helps us to break the cycle of birth and death. So Srila Prabhupada is writing that one can sacrifice life, money, intelligence, words. If we have all of them, we give all of them. If we have one of them, we give one. If we have two of them, we give that in preaching Krishna consciousness. And Krishna recognizes such devotees. He says, oh, look at that one. This one is really making an effort to spread the holy names, is taking that effort. Or maybe like today, both of you have used your Lakshmi for Krishna consciousness, to invite devotees to, have Krishna Katha and Prasadam. Is Prasadam free? Did someone bring it for free for you? No, it costs money. So we can use everything or whatever we can in the service of Krishna, and Krishna recognizes such devotees, and when he's pleased, he bestows his mercy upon them. So important thing to remember is everything belongs to Krishna. We just have to use it in his service. Now, all this that we are hearing, have you heard this before?
Yes.
How many times? We can't even count. Do we remember it?
No.
Thank you for being honest.
Intellectually, but
Not every
in the
day.
heart, not in
Yes.
the heart.
Do we wake up in the morning and say, everything belongs to Krishna? I'm going to use everything in Krishna's service. Today, I'm going to chant very, very, very nicely. As soon as you get up, oh, what do I have to do? I have to fix breakfast and I have to shower and I have to do puja, and the whole routine starts. So everything belongs to Krishna. Why not use it in his service? And we can use our intelligence to take on this knowledge, contemplate on it, and then give it to others. And that is going to please Guru and Krishna very much. I would like to say something that happened recently, yesterday. Yes, yesterday. I don't know if my sister will like to know that it's being recorded here, but I will say it anyway. So for quite some time, she has had that very sincere desire to preach, because she has heard preaching is most pleasing to Krishna. But she was hesitant that I don't know anything, I don't have much knowledge. I will get nervous when I speak to others. And as soon as I see their face, immediately, my mind shuts down. What should I do? And she fervently prayed to Krishna. And then she took that courage, and Krishna gave her the opportunity sitting at home. She got a message from one person, I don't know how, Facebook or something, asking for hearing Bhagavad Gita. She immediately called me. She said, can you give me your notes so I can talk? I said, yeah, sure. Here, email. Here are my notes for chapter 1, chapter 2. Here are the notes. And she talked to them on the phone. She said, I cannot do video because she had that eye surgery and she can't strain her eyes. So she preached to that person, and that person is ready to go to the temple to buy a Bhagavad Gita. One call. That's all. Isn't that famous? Is that Ken Nugent? One call?
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
That's all it did. And she was so happy. I said, you will be nervous first time. That's okay. They can't see you. This is how you get into practice. And then she got another message and she gave another 3 lectures in one day. See how Krishna helps. That sincere desire, is what Krishna is looking for. And now she has a schedule. On Friday, this person, on Monday, this person. They are already wanting to hear more, and they have scheduled it weekly class with her. When you hear all this, you feel so inspired and so happy that, oh yes, all we have to do is Krishna is there in the heart. We just have to turn our face to him and tell him, pray to him that, please help me. So all these opportunities, they come, but it only comes when we desire, and we should take all opportunities to preach Krishna consciousness. Let's go to the verse number 79. Koti Ashwamedha Eka Krishna Nama Sama Yei Kahe Se Pashandi Dande Tare Yama. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. One who says that 10 million Ashwamedh sacrifices are equal to the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna is undoubtedly an atheist. He is sure to be punished by Yamaraj. Purport. In the list of the 10 kinds of offenses in chanting the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hare Krishna, the 8th offense is Dharma Vrata Tyaga Hutadi Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyam Api Pramad. One should never consider the chanting of the holy name of Godhead equal to pious activities like giving charity to brahmanas or saintly persons, opening charitable educational institutions, distributing free food, and so on. The results of pious activities do not equal to the results of chanting the holy name of Krishna. The Vedic scriptures say, Go koti danam grahane khagasya prayaga gangodaka kalpavasaha yagnya yutam meru suvarna danam govindam kirtena samam shatam shehe. Even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years, or gives a mountain of gold in sacrifice to the Brahmanas, he does not earn 1/100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna. In other words, one who accepts the chanting of Hare Krishna to be some kind of pious activity is completely misled. Of course, it is pious, but the real fact is that Krishna and his name being transcendental are far above all mundane pious activity. Pious activity is on the material platform, but chanting of the holy name of Krishna is completely on the spiritual plane. Therefore, although Pashandis do not understand this, pious activity can never compare to the chanting of the holy name. So there is mention of the 10 offenses that one must avoid while chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is why in the temples, every morning after Mangalarti, they recite the 10 offenses to remind oneself that these are the offenses that we need to avoid. And here it is said that if one of the 8th offense is that if we consider pious activity on the same level as chanting, that is an offense. Because pious activity is material activity, whereas chanting the holy names is not. Chanting is on the transcendental platform. Why? Because Krishna and his holy name are the same. They are non-different. They are all same. So we cannot compare it. So guarding against these offenses is very, very important, because after many, many births, we have now got the opportunity to be Krishna conscious, and we don't want to lose that opportunity just because we are not safeguarding ourselves from these offenses, because this Krishna consciousness is the greatest treasure that we have. What do we do when we say buy diamonds or gold or whatever? What do we do with them?
Lock them up.
Lock them up, safeguard them, because we don't want them to be stolen. Similarly, we should safeguard. I'm not saying put chanting in the safe deposit locker, but important is that we need to safeguard our Krishna consciousness, because this is a very rare opportunity. Verse number 80. Bhagavad Sandarbha Granthera Mangala Charane E Shloka Jiva Goswami Kariyachena Vyakhyane. Translation. In the auspicious introduction to the Bhagavad Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami has given the following verse as an explanation. Let's see what that verse is. Number 81. Antaha Krishnam Bahir Gauram Darshitangadi Vaibhavam Kalau Sankirtana Dyehe Sma Krishna Chaitanyam Ashritaha. Translation. Excuse me, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. I take shelter of Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is outwardly of a fair complexion, but is inwardly Krishna himself. In this age of Kali, he displays his expansions or his angas and upangas by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami has placed the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam quoted in text 52, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam, as the auspicious introduction to his Bhagavad Sandarbha or Shat Sandarbha. He has composed this text, number 81, which is in effect an explanation of the Bhagavatam verse as the second verse of the same work. The verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was enunciated by Karbhajan, one of the 9 great sages, and is elaborately explained by the Sarva Samvadini, Jiva Goswami's commentary on his own Shat Sandarbha. Antaha Krishna refers to one who is always thinking of Krishna. This attitude is a predominant feature of Srimati Radharani. Even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis, among whom Radharani is the leader in thinking of Krishna. Radharani's Krishna consciousness surpasses that of all other devotees. Lord Chaitanya accepted the position of Srimati Radharani to understand Krishna. Therefore, he was always thinking of Krishna in the same way as Radharani. By thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who was outwardly very fair with a complexion like molten gold, simultaneously manifested his eternal associates, opulences, expansions, and incarnations. He preached the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and those who are under his lotus feet are glorious. So here we see again there is a reference given that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. There is no difference at all. And the reason for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come here is also given here. He came to perform Sankirtana so that we can get benefit. And of course, he also came to relish the mood of Srimati Radharani. So here we can see the glories of Srimati Radharani, that, you know, her love surpasses love of everyone else. Topmost. Absolutely topmost. And recently we celebrated Radha Ashtami on Monday, just a few days ago. So here in this verse, fortunately, today we are again hearing about Srimati Radharani. When I saw this purport by Srila Prabhupada talking about Srimati Radharani, you know, how her love, you know, is the topmost. So then I remember this pastime, because there's a mention of golden complexion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Inside he's Krishna, you know, black. Outside he's golden, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he's Krishna himself. That doesn't mean he's black in heart, but black color they are talking about within is Krishna, because Krishna is black in color. So one time, Srimati Radharani, she was in Krishna's home and was helping Yashoda Maiya, you know, in cooking and everything. And Mother Yashoda always wanted Radharani, you know, she considered her, you can say like daughter, daughter-in-law, whatever we may think. So what she did, Yashoda took some turmeric, haldi, and she put on the hands of Radharani. Now, what does this signify in India? It signifies marriage. In India, there's a ceremony before marriage where they put haldi on the hands of the girl. Of course, it has become a big thing where they put on the face and the body, and it's a ceremony, it's dancing, not chanting, dancing, singing, whatever it is. It's some big episode, big ceremony, right? But here, Srimati Radharani, as soon as Yashoda Maiya put that, she felt very shy and she ran away from there. One of the qualities of Srimati Radharani is she's very shy. And she ran from there. And she was thinking, oh, she was trying to hide. She didn't want anyone to see because, out of shyness. And she's saying, oh, I need to take this off quickly. So in Barsana, she reached a pond. And she started washing her hands there. And she tried. Can you remove haldi? Like, no, it takes very difficult. Even before marriage, when you put, it stays for a few days. And she tried, and when she was cleaning her hands, the pond was turning yellow. And it was turning yellow. And then she noticed that, oh, it's not helping. So she ran away from there. Guess who comes after that? Krishna comes. He's walking by and he's saying, oh, a beautiful yellow pond. In fact, this pond is named after that color yellow, Pili Pokhar. It's called Pili Pokhar or a Priya Kund. Have you seen that? Oh, I need to see that. It's on my list for Vrindavan this time to see Pili Pokhar, that yellow pond. So he was attracted to that, and he started going one step down, another step down, and he started going. He didn't realize he was already submerged in the water. Only the peacock feather was on top. And he is ecstatic. Why? Because Radharani's hands that touched that pond. And he got that fragrance. Had such a nice fragrance. And when he came out, Krishna, Krishna, he's shouting, he's looking for Krishna. Because of the mood of Srimati Radharani and the color. He turned yellow. His body from black turned golden. This signifies Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My hair is standing now just hearing this beautiful pastime. It was related by Dinabandhu Prabhu. I was listening to his lecture on Radha Ashtami it was. I don't know, one of these lectures. So beautiful. Just the touch of Srimati Radharani, her love surpasses everyone else's. So here are these glories of Srimati Radharani in this verse and in this purport by Srila Prabhupada. So here we see outwardly golden, but inside black like Krishna, because there's no difference between Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came just to give us the holy name, to teach us how to be fully Krishna conscious, to teach us how we can live this life in a successful way and leave this body in a successful way and go back to Godhead. Today is a very auspicious day. What is it?
Giving a thought.
It's the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Were we supposed to fast today?
Yes, till noon.
Oh,
That's okay.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can always keep a, I think you put messages, text messages in the group.
But then I didn't check.
Oh yeah, you got to check. Yes.
Check,
Yes.
yeah.
Or you can give a special message to her 1 or 2 days.
You are in the group, right?
Yeah, it's sent to me every day, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
in the group.
anyway, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day.
My
Oh,
fault.
okay, okay. Yeah, you're in the group.
Who is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur? He appeared in 1838 and he disappeared in 1914. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a prominent acharya in our strict disciplic succession, a pioneering spiritual leader. He was a magistrate, he was a leader, he was a householder, and he was a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, coming in the strict discipline. And in under British rule, he was working as a magistrate in British rule. That time there was British rule. India was not independent. It was under British rule. And at that time, being a magistrate is a big deal, that post. But at the same time, he was a prolific preacher. He was a writer. He was a poet. I don't know how many of you remember the Vaishnava songs that he has written, right? Gaurarti, written by him. Many, hundreds of Vaishnava songs he compiled for our benefit so that we can somehow or the other get attracted to Krishna. And he wrote volumes of books introducing teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he composed hundreds and hundreds of verses, not verses, songs. And he also was the one who first sent teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to libraries abroad and universities abroad. In those days, in the 1800s or early 1900s, this is what he did. Why? Because he wanted to plant the seed of devotion even in foreign countries. He was probably preparing for Srila Prabhupada coming here and, starting the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He wanted to spread, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to spread devotion even in the foreign countries, not just leave it to India, but to spread it throughout the world. And today we are sitting here comfortably and getting the benefit of all that hard work that all of them put through. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started the Gaudiya Math. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. His wife was Bhagavati Devi and he had 10 children. But what I always remember from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is his prayer that, dear Lord Krishna, my wife, my children, my house, everything belongs to you. You have just made me a servant to use them in your service. What a beautiful thought. And he taught us by his own example. He taught us how to be Krishna conscious, how to have a material life and spiritual life, both together. It's not an easy job to be a magistrate. But I don't know if any of you have read or heard about his schedule. Right? How many hours he slept, how many hours he translated, how many hours. It's amazing. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. So I'm going to end here today at verse number 81. We'll continue next week.